Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Mewtwo Fan Nate, and I'm your coach of the New York Noibats. It is the third season of the P4G, and we are going to be going over some of the transactions that we have made, some of the new additions for this squad, for the P4G. So, pretty much, what I wanted to say before we got into the video is that I have been recently doing a whole bunch of live streams on YouTube. So, if you guys do want to hang out with me, a lot of the times we do we do some shiny hunting. I've also done some viewer battles, so if you guys do want to hang out with me, I'm very interactive with the chat. We talk, we hang out. We do have like a new Discord that you can actually find by joining like one of the live streams. It's just like !Discord always in the chat. I don't have any link in my description because I feel like, you know, there's just more trolls that come in that way. I don't know. But I feel like if you guys do want to hang out with me and talk to me like in person, get live responses, probably just hanging out during one of the streams is probably the best way of doing that. So of course, if you do want to hang out with me and make sure you don't miss a stream, then or at least if you want to make sure that you know when I'm streaming next, just turn on notifications. You can leave them on for the next week or so, because I'll be going live this week for some stuff. So without wasting too much of your time here, we're gonna just start talking about the transactions that we've made. So I know that there was already a official transaction video on the P4G YouTube channel, and I'm not trying to say that Flame Horizon did a bad job by any means, but there's a lot of my thoughts that I didn't see in that video on why I made the transaction. So I figured that, wanna know what, I might as well give my thoughts, my opinions, and my whole thought process on why I decided to do what I did. So if you guys can see my team right here below me, we have a whole bunch of Eviolite Pokemon. So we have Doublade, Piloswine, Shelgon, Girder, and Torracat. So that's a lot of Eviolite Pokemon. Now, I know that this is a low-tier draft, but there's a lot of teams out there that don't have as many Eviolite Pokemon as I do. Now, I wanted to make sure that whenever I decide I'm going to bring a team to a battle, that people can't just run knockoff and then just destroy me every single week. It's terrible to prep for. It's honestly really it's difficult. So what I wanted to do was make a change to the squad to make it a little bit easier on me. So as you guys can see right over there, we have our Girder, and Girder is going to be disappearing from the team. So and it's okay, because I felt like Girder was one of the uglier Pokemon that we've drafted, and it's, you know, it's whatever, you know. So pretty much Girder would do the same thing like every single week. Yes, it has some really good bulk with Eviolite, with like the base 85 HP and defense, and then when you multiply that by the Eviolite, it becomes super bulky. But the only thing is, though, it was very one-dimensional. So usually what I would do is, if I were bringing Girder, I feel like the only way that I would be comfortable bringing it is two different ways. It's either a bulk up set with like Drain Punch, Mach Punch, and like Knockoff, or I'm just going to be running Drain Punch, Knockoff, like coverage move like Ice Punch, and then like Knockoff. You know what I mean? It's like, or Poison Jab, depending on like what my opponent has on his team. But like it just does the same thing to me like every single week, and I'm not really too happy with that. So I decided I want to get something that has a little bit more versatility. I think that Girder really loses a lot of its viability as soon as its Eviolite gets taken off. It just doesn't do that much. Like, it's not bulky enough to live the hits, and I don't like that at all. It's also really slow, and its special defense is kind of bad. So I wanted to get something that can kind of work around that and still be a good fighting type. So I decided that I was going to grab Pangoro. So Pangoro, nickname is Vegan Eats, because we didn't have vegan games before, and we're rocking out with the Vegan Eats because he is eating a piece of like bamboo, and pandas, they only eat bamboo. So unless like they're like mating, or no, unless it's the females once they're like pregnant, they do go a little omnivorous. You know, fun fact for you guys in the comment section, that pandas they do go a little omnivorous when, I'm not sure if that's the right word, but when they're like pregnant and things like that. But anyway, we're mostly eating bamboo, and Pangoro has some really nice stats. Very nice HP stat, very high attack stat. Doesn't and it gets its defense stat isn't what the Girders is, but it does have the higher HP. The special defense is a little bit higher, and its speed is incredibly incredible. It's incredible. So I know it's not that fast, but it's definitely better than the Girder, and that makes it so much more versatile. So many more things, so much more I can do with it. As far as like items that I can put on it, I can put a choice scarf on this thing. I can go choice banded with the jolly nature. There's not really like, so there's a lot of different things out here, like in this tier, I guess, I don't know, this type of tiered draft, where I can make Pangoro really, really fast, and I can just make it hit super hard because of like the way that everything is. So I really do like Pangoro for its much better speed stat. It has a stab knockoff, which is incredibly huge. It gives me a dark type, which I did not have before, meaning that psychic cannot just be spammed across my entire team, because now we do have an official immunity to it, not just a resistance. Before we did have a resistance in our Doublade, but Doublade wasn't really appreciating psychic type moves anyway, because if it's really low special defense stat. So this kind of gives me a little bit of a patch up with that. So we don't have to worry about just people running like Scarf Psychic against me, Scarfed or Spec Psychic, you know, that kind of thing. And this gives me a immunity, which is really nice. Now, Pangoro, I also really love the fact that Pangoro gets a bunch of cool like utility options, and the huge one here is Parting Shot. So if you guys don't know what Parting Shot does, it lowers your target's attack and special attack by 1, and the user switches. Now we can make this even better if we go Dark Guineum Z, because Parting Shot does the same exact thing, but when the user switches. So when Pangoro switches out and something else comes in, whatever comes in gets fully healed, and it's really nice because then it lets me play some of my other Pokemon a little bit more recklessly, and things like that. So the fact that this thing also gets Iron Fist means that we can kind of take advantage of some really cool punch moves. So we have Bullet Punch, which is a nice priority move. We're not going to even talk about Comet Punch, but Drain Punch, Fire Punch, Focus Punch is kind of cool because we can run a like substitute Focus Punch set, Ice Punch, Power Punch, and Thunder Punch. So really, really good punch moves options for that ability Iron Fist. But there's also Hammer Arm, I believe, gets boosted by Iron Fist. So we have a base 100 fighting type move Stab that gets boosted by Iron Fist. So that's going to hit really hard, especially when you... oops, I don't even know what that just did. Can I get rid of that? Yes, I can. Cool. So when you compare, pretty much do, I don't even know what that even does, but anyway, like, I don't even know where my train of thought just went. Whew. Pretty much like when you take that ability and then you pair it with one of those moves, it makes it really really powerful. So it also gets access to Mold Breaker, so we can ignore things like Sturdy, which are really cool. If something has like Sticky Hold and we go for Knockoff, then we just ignore that completely. I kind of like that. I don't know if how much I would use Mold Breaker. I guess with Levitate, like people like Pokemon that have Levitate, we can go for Earthquakes on them. So super cool with that kind of thing. And then Scrappy's nice too, because obviously we do have that fighting type still, and if we do want to just go Choice Scarf, like with Drain Punch, and we can kind of just spam that with no problem and be fine. So those are the abilities that Pangoro gets. Now the speed stat is a lot better than the vegan gains one of base 40, meaning that we can effectively run like Choice Scarf on certain things. and things like that. Now, it also gets access to really cool, like, it'll get some really cool Z move options. Like, for example, it gets access to Outrage, it gets access to Gunk Shot. So things like the Z Outrage, Z Gunk Shot are going to hit super hard. I also like that this thing gets multiple different types of setup. So this thing does get Swords Dance. This thing also gets Bulk Up. And then it also gets Hone's Claws. So pretty much what that means is that, like, if some, I don't know, maybe like a fairy type Pokemon wants to try to deal with this, maybe it's a little bit slower than me, what I could do is I can go for a Hone's Claws, right? I go for a Hone's Claws, get my accuracy up by 1, go for get my attack up +1, and then Gunk Shot has a higher chance to not miss with, you know, with the accuracy boost, and then we can just hit something really hard with a +1 Gunk Shot. So super cool. The knockoff again is huge, and I think that the real benefit, I think, is probably going to be that Parting Shot. I think Parting Shot is huge. The Bullet Punch is also nice for priority, so we don't lose that much priority. I think that if you guys, well, you guys know me, if I don't really play for the win most of the time. I do play for the sauce. I like to have fun when I play. We can go for things like Sludge Bomb. We can go for things like Dark Pulse and Focus Blast. So I mean, and this thing also gets Surf. I mean, with the Z moves, this thing also does get like Rain Dance, right? Rain Dance, Sunny Day, probably. Yeah, so we can go for like Z Rain Dance, Z Sunny Day. Like, and we can kind of have fun with it. Like, it doesn't have to be something that's like super OP for the team. Like, I just think it fits better. Throat Chop is cool. Throat Chop is definitely cool. Something has like, if there, I don't, no one drafted Sylveon, but or anything like that, because it's not you know, allowed. But Throat Chop is cool for like sound moves, things like that. So I think that's awesome. So with that being said, I think what we're going to do is we're going to get out of here. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment down below what you think of this pick. Alright, bye.